What up guys, it's Remy from RES Engineered Tech showing you an unscripted tutorial of how to install the light mount kit for the 2024 to 2026 Volkswagen Atlas. So to get this process started guys, we start by removing the OEM trim on the front bumper, so we'll show you how to do that first in this freezing cold weather. Guys, it is cold as heck outside. Oh my god, it is cold. What's going on, man?
What up?
Oh my god. Happy New Year. Yeah, dude. It's too cold for this crap. Holy.
Can we even pull that out without like...
we're gonna find out. All right, Marco's out here.
What up?
What up? All right, let's do this quickly so that you don't die. So to get it out, this is what I just pushed here.
Yeah.
So I guess you can just push in like that. Push that OEM piece in, and then pull this piece out in line with the center line of the vehicle like this. Just like that. Wow.
Easy peasy.
Amazing. So just to remind ourselves that yeah, all these things are pretty easy clips. You just have to make sure you're pushing at the right angle or else you will cry. All right, just like that. They're very durable. Yeah. Yeah, and they snap into place just like they're still fresh off the lot, you know, like just like that. So just another quick demo. Make sure all these clips are aligned all the way around. Make sure there's no cabling or other clips in your way. Everything else is lined up perfect. Okay. That's good, that's good, that's good. There we go. So you do that, and then to remove, you can push in the center piece, pull out the whole thing together. Just like that. Cool. Voila. All right, so we have everything here. We need to install the fog light mount or the air duct mount. We have both versions of the fog light mount here. This is the version that only mounts the light, and this is a version that can double as an air duct and a fog light mount. This is the trim piece and what it looks like after you remove it from the vehicle. Once we get to this stage of having the trim piece removed from the vehicle, it is pretty easy to install the fog light mount. So I'll just run you guys through that really quick, maybe on both versions. So this is what it looks like when you have it off of the vehicle. And so to remove this black piece from the gray piece here, that's what we're gonna have to do first before we can mount anything to this trim piece, which will then hold the fog light. So to remove this black piece here, typically what I do is I will push on these two top corners here, or these outboard corners I should say. That's the easiest way I've found to do it, these two corners here. So first I will just pop that out there, pop that out there, using my thumbs to push in. You can see what it looks like once it comes out of this plastic trim piece here. So these are when the tabs are starting to pop out. So I just continue to pop the tabs out one by one. That's what we're looking at there. So I'll put this down here. Now, after we get that black trim removed, we're going to start assembling the fog light mount to the silver trim piece. So for this, I created a layout diagram. This layout diagram is specifically for the fog light mount piece alone, or I guess the piece that only mounts the fog light. However, the layout applies to both versions of the product. So this layout file here, I'll show it on the screen as well, but that's what that looks like. So you'll see on the layout file, there's a specific code, I'll say, that applies to each kind of mounting clip. We have the left side and the right side, and this is labeled as if you're sitting in the vehicle facing towards the front. Left is the driver's side, right is the passenger side. So based on that, you'll see there's a code for each clip and where it goes. You know, you have right alpha 1 or right A1, right B1, you know, right B2, that kind of thing. So based on that you'll also see that there is a label on each of the clips. OB, OB, Oscar Bravo, for those who like the phonetic alphabet. And based on that is where you will place the clip when you're assembling. So you'll see this outboard clip goes in this outboard area. This outboard clip goes there. So based on this layout diagram, you can start assembling the clips. So simple thing to install them, you just twist them into place. You'll see that they kind of just snap into place once you do that. Make sure you do it in line with the angle of the tab on the trim piece. So just snap that in place. Another one, this is another Oscar Bravo. Snap that in place. Now we get a, we get a right Alpha 2. So based off of that, we're on the right side, by the way. This trim piece is from the right side of the vehicle. So right Alpha 2, we see goes to the bottom here, bottom inboard side. You can see that on the camera. Right Alpha 2 goes to the bottom inboard side. You can see this goes on the bottom inboard side here. So based on that, we're going to snap this in place right here. This snaps in place right there. Now we pick up the next piece. This one is right Alpha 1, which goes to the top inboard side. So this is going to snap in place up here. Right there, you can see once you install them, they do have a little bit of wiggle room, and that is intentional. So you can have more space to install the bolts. So same thing here. This is right Bravo 2. This goes on the bottom outboard side. So we snap that in place just like that. Here, right Bravo 1, we snap this in place at the top outboard side. And we have IB or inboard that snaps in place at the inboard clip side. So now with all the clips inside, we're going to install the duct itself or the mounting bracket. Right now we're working with the mounting bracket and duct hybrid. I'll show you guys how to do just the mounting bracket after, but same process. The kit will include everything needed to install the bracket. So Allen keys, bolts, washers, all that kind of thing. So just to get this in place, we have the bracket. You just kind of slide it and line it up with the clips. You will see that each of the bolt holes is now visible through the clip. The clips are have slots in them to allow for a little bit more flexibility when installing, just to make it easier. So now you just take by hand a bolt and a washer, catch some threads on each of the clips. Once you catch a few threads on 2 of them or 3 of them, should be easy to catch the rest. So catch some threads here. There we go. There you go. So now you can take your Allen key. This is a 3mm Allen key on these M4 bolts. Just tighten them by hand and take the rest of them and install with your Allen key. Make sure you catch all the threads. It's always good to start by hand so you don't cross thread anything. There you go. Oh. All right, so just catch all the rest of them. You can see the installation process, pretty simple. Just nuts and bolts, no cutting required, no trimming of any piece required, an exact OEM fit. Now, sometimes you will notice that just for installing, you might need to put a little bit of pressure on some of the clips just to get them to line up exactly. Nothing insanely forceful required. Just got to press a little bit on some of the clip areas to catch the threads on the bolts. So that is what I have to do here. I'm just putting some pressure with my thumb and tighten those down. So just go around and hand tighten them until they're nice and snug. Let's see, just like that. Make sure you have all the washers on each of the bolts, because those do help distribute the pressure a little bit. So just tightening these down. All right, so now for this version, the air duct with the brackets that can mount lights, there are a little bit of variance in brackets just because we wanted to go for a little bit more of a modular design. Here we're demonstrating with this aux beam R4 light, which you can see on the table, and you'll see how that looks. But basically, there's bolt holes to allow for different kinds of brackets, which we designed just to allow for a little bit more variance and aesthetic, as well as what lights we can mount. So this one was actually the first one that we designed just for when we're using it as an air duct. You'll see that there are bolt holes on the mounting duct itself, M5 countersink screws to install those. So show you what that looks like. This one also uses a 3mm Allen key, so pretty simple to install. Everything gets together quite nicely. So you just line up the screw with your hand, catch some threads. Once you catch one set of threads, makes it really easy to install the rest of them. So you can see here, these are all the M5 countersinks. Just catch all these threads here. Make sure everything's lined up. Sorry if the camera didn't catch that. And same thing here. You might think this is a little bit too close, but everything threads in quite nicely. So you just got to make sure the bolt hole is lined up perfectly, and everything should catch. Sorry. There we go. So once you do that, you can twist this bolt in place. So this is for one type of bracket that we've designed. There are others which are made to mount the lights. So this one was more of just an aesthetic piece to kind of bisect the duct. Now there are holes in here for if you want to try and mount lights to it. However, just because it bisects the duct, it does cut away at some of the space that's available for mounting lights. So to allow for bigger lights to be mounted and a little bit more of a recess for the lights to be mounted further back, we created this inboard bracket that kind of has a cantilever design, but is secured with 4 bolts, so it doesn't really have any issues. So that one is supposed to be demoed with this aux beam R4 series light. So I'll show you what that looks like. So to mount this inboard bracket with a light on it, I'll show you what that process looks like. I'll take off these countersink screws and move on to the next bracket. So we have our aux beam R4 light here. It comes with its own wiring, comes with the kit that this light is supplied with. So for us, when you're wiring these things, sometimes you might find it easier to attach all your wiring inside the car before you put these lights in, or any lights in. That's at least what we've seen our customers have the most success with. We'll just show you how to attach these lights, and every other light that you install should kind of follow the same process. So first, for this aux beam R4 light, we're going to attach it to our bracket. We already had the bolt, we already put the bolt inside the light, so That's how we got to this point. So here, we're going to put the light inside the bracket. These little extrusions here, you'll see them here, should be in front of the light facing towards the car. These extrusions should be inside the, or facing towards the car ahead of the light. So that is where we're going to mount the light to the duct at the end. So that's where that's going to line up. So this light also comes with a washer. So simple stuff. Just make sure you have the right tools that are for the light's hardware. Whichever light that you purchase, make sure you have the right tools that are with the light's hardware. So we're just going to secure this really quickly. And this light uses a 12 millimeter. So now with that secured, we have our light secured to the bracket. You can see how that looks there. And now with our light secured to the bracket, we can use our countersink screws to secure the light and bracket to our duct. So just once again, line everything up with your hands. You can see there. And catch some threads. There we go. Once you catch some threads, lining everything else up should be easy. First bolt is always the most annoying, but once you get everything else lined up, the process is really smooth. So catch all the threads. Now on this specific test piece that I'm showing you here, not all four threads are inserted, but this specific light bracket does get secured by 4 bolts. So you'll see these inside 2 threads aren't inserted. This is just a test piece that we were messing around with, and that's how we got our final measurements. But once you do that, you secure all 4 bolts on this bracket here. This is how the light will sit. Our light sits like so. Now, due to customer request, we actually made brackets to cover the back end and not allow air through this duct. So you'll see how that looks. I'll show you the test pieces for that. This will sit here, and we included some open tabs to zip tie these to the bracket, and that will sit there. So these can be zip tied to each of these loops here, and that's how that will sit, and that's how it will look at the back, just to make sure everything looks clean or sealed up. So that's how you do it. This is how you install the light duct to the trim piece on the front bumper of the Volkswagen Atlas 2024 to 2026, Peak Edition, SEL, stuff like that. And once you do that, you can see you have a little bit of adjustability to mess around with on these lights. So it's a pretty simple process, and then this assembly is the exact reverse process as the installation. So to take everything else out, you just remove the screws. Make sure you hold the light so it doesn't fall out. I'm holding it with my thumb. You can remove this bracket to remove the duct from the OEM trim piece. You just take out all these bolts here. All right, there are 7 of these bolts all around the trim piece. I'll just go one by one, taking them out. Done. Make sure that's good. All the trim pieces will, or all the light mounts will have their respective clips with them. They do use slightly different clips for the light mount, for this version of light mount here. So that one is just called a light mount, and this version that we just installed here is called a light mount and air duct hybrid. So that's the newest version that we are coming out with. So take out all these here. Now we can just put everything on the table. So then this piece slips out just like that. And to remove the clips, in the same way that you put them in, you twist them out. Just one by one, twist, twist, twist. They snap into place and they snap out of place. Twist them out, twist them out. Now for this version we have on the right side, similar process. We use M6 bolts, which are 4 or 5 millimeter Allen key. Allen key will be included. So just going off my memory here, but same process for this. To install, we just snap the clips in. Don't drop them on the floor, that's for sure. But we snap the clips in. This one is a right Bravo 2, so this snaps in place on the bottom side. This is right Bravo 1, so we snap this in place on the top side here. This one is right Alpha 1, so we snap this in place on the top side. Inboard side, this is right Bravo or right Alpha 2, so we snap that in place there. And this is the inboard for this set. This one's a little tight. There we go. So we snap that in place like that. Clips are snapped in place. So all those clips snap in place for this version. And then you insert the trim piece just like that. And you can start bolting it in. So you line them up. Line up all your bolts here. Once you do that, just like the previous piece here, we have the bolts that, or the Allen key, we tighten that down. Allen key for these bolts. So you do that. And then we tighten up with our Allen key. After cutting all the threads by hand. So now I'll just tighten them. Make sure they're nice and snug. You can see there are cutouts to allow for you to access every bolt if it is required. Every trim piece is labeled, by the way. You don't see the labels on these one, but this trim piece will be labeled right side. Same thing with this one. There will be an R on this trim piece. All trim pieces are labeled to allow for easier instruction, easier installation. Once you do that, you can install your light here. I don't have a light to demonstrate on this one, but the bracket will sit here and you can rotate it. It points out the car, the front of the vehicle. You tighten it and secure it with your fasteners that come in your light kit. And that's how that looks. So this one sits like that. And then once you get your light bracket and mount in place, put your light in place, then it is time for you to reinstall the piece on the vehicle. And we will show you what that looks like when you're going to reinstall your kit on the vehicle. All right, let's do this quick. Pop the hood just so I can feed the wires through just to see how this looks. And then let's just showing how this looks here. All right, so this slips in this way. So you got to angle it in like that, perfect. Make sure everything, all the tabs show up on the inside of the vehicle. So you just want to make sure they're all aligned. Outside here, inside there. Boom, you pop that in just like that. That's freaking sick. So just to show how this works, if you want to take a picture, I think I can reach, where are you? There you are. Reach the cabling from up here. Right, dude? Like, you don't even have to do too much. You're just like, oh, here. So just to show again, as we were removing it, you just apply a little bit of force in line with the center axis of the vehicle. pull out like that. That's actually so simple, dude.
Those people that didn't know.
All right, guys, that's about it. An end-to-end POV tutorial of how we install this thing. No script, just kind of we showed up and got it done. So that's what it would look like. Any questions you have, feel free to reach out. No trimming or any cutting required of the OEM components. We wanted this to make this fit just as it was, keep the OEM look. So let us know what you think, and if there's any questions, feel free to reach out.